What's going on, everybody? This is the blockchain backer bringing you the latest cryptocurrency news and analysis. Today, we're going to be talking about the Bitcoin price chart as the price sits up here just under $90,000. But of course, we have a ton of action over there in the altcoin market, so we'll take a peek at all of that before we head into the weekend. Of course, on everybody's radar is XRP, which as I'm recording at this moment, it's at 87 cents, but that changes frequently. However, as you can see here, we're at the highest price we've been in a year and a half. The last time the price was this high was the day that the ruling came out that XRP is not a security back in July of last year, so July of 2023. But we could see that the price has cleared all retracement levels of this range. It's taken out the March height, which we spend a lot of time here looking at these market caps like here on others. It's like taken out that level over there already as the altcoin excitement continues to erupt throughout the cryptocurrency market. So we'll briefly touch on XRP over here in this video, but primarily we're just going to kind of look around the market and see how things look as we get ready to head into the weekend. I just published my newsletter over there at blockchainbacker.substack.com. It's got a 33-minute audio voiceover that I recorded. Crypto takes to the skies as breadth erupts, improved conditions, hot sectors and coins, current developers and TVL leaders, and looking ahead. We'll talk on a couple of points that were brought up in there. Of course, that is incredibly in depth, so I do encourage you to check out the newsletter if you are subscribed. But with Bitcoin now all the way up near $90,000 and these altcoins moving, the big question is, are we in the thick of it, right? Like, are we in the middle of alt season? There is no question we had to see this Russell 2000 escape from the retracement levels. We stared at this for far too long, and finally, as the election came, the breakout ended up happening. Bitcoin skyrocketed, and now all of the altcoins are starting to follow suit. The question is this sustainable? Based on historical precedent set by the market, we meet a lot of the criteria that does insinuate that we are going to go up. But the thing is, we can tell we haven't really even done it yet. The safety trade dominance still remains range bound. And so we haven't really even seen things actually get into exit velocity just yet. And the others price chart, which others is the altcoin market excluding the top 10, really paints that picture right here, right? We're still just climbing our way back up into the retracement levels. My thoughts are alt season actually begins once we can clear through there definitively through the very last retracement levels. After that, my thoughts are it's probably just going to explode to the upside so long as we can get through there. But other evidence suggesting that we aren't there yet, besides just saying, hey, this breakdown hasn't happened yet, is when we actually look at the market caps outside of others. We could see that total 3 has gotten back to the March highs, and it still hasn't broken out of it just yet, which is also true for total 2, which interestingly, we can see it sitting right here on top of the 702 retracement. We actually talked about this with Bitcoin before it ended up going, is that when it was in this range, it got through the 702 retracement, found support on it, and then it started its rampage. And that's kind of where we're at right now for total 2, and things haven't actually broken out and gotten going yet. But another thing showing that we're still just kind of waiting for the big moment to actually happen in this market is that the total market cap of crypto sits right back at the November of 2021 high and hasn't expanded yet. Obviously, we're all the way back at the all-time high. We're seeing lots of upward price action. You've got green all throughout the board in here. XRP is above 88 cents. That's insane. But has the insane actually happened? Based on these charts, no. And based on this, no. It's like it hasn't even started yet. And so, of course, we all sit on edge right now saying, are we going to get out right now? Well, one of those things that's interesting, of course, has been gold. So people who have been watching this channel for a long time know that we talk about gold frequently. There's an inverse relationship to expansions between Bitcoin and between gold. And we know that when gold broke through its all-time high back on March 1st, it was only 14 days later that the run concluded for Bitcoin and for the altcoin market. Then as the breakdown started over here for gold, what happens to Bitcoin? The escape begins over there for Bitcoin. So you have positive things happening over here, and that the reversal has also happened for gold. However, technically in these types of structures, we typically are going to pull back into areas right around here. And a lot of times they do these in 5 waves like this to get back down. You can even see that's really kind of how it went back over here for this pull down to happen over here back in 2020 and in 2021. Mind you, this is where the bull run for Bitcoin takes place. So while I think this thing is going to break down, which is positive for crypto, and I do think this thing is going to get out, you could clearly see that we are stuck right there right now. And there's just the big question is, does it have the momentum to actually go for the break right away? Or is there some type of retracement that's going to happen in gold where we'll see this kind of pull back here for a minute, and then eventually gold goes for that next leg down. That's kind of the big leg, the wave 3. And then that's the big expansion that takes place there for the crypto market. I think that's kind of where we're stuck at right now with the market. I'm in the belief that this is eventually coming. But even like we've talked about leading up to this, we talked about it in the video right on Monday, that it'd be a bumpy road to get back to there. But really, it's not until this breaks that it's actually the big event to happen in the market. And I can see the confluence of a couple of things there with gold doing a little bit of a retrace, of us having to pull back a little bit from the all-time high over there and the total market cap of crypto. And then after that comes the big wave 3, the giant big daddy, where things get going. And so essentially just trying to kind of draw a hypothesis here of price action and what we're seeing right now. Right now, it seems like there's a little bit of rotation happening out of Bitcoin right in here over into the altcoins. That's why we see XRP now almost at 90 cents. There's obvious excitement throughout the market. There always becomes this worry when there's a bunch of excitement of, are we euphoric? Is this too much? Can we not do any more because everybody's too pumped up and thrilled? If we saw the dominance way down here, and it was already down here, and if we already saw gold way down here, I would start to question that and think maybe we are a little too euphoric. Maybe we do need to be worried. But I just don't see that. I kind of view this as this is wave 1 of a 5-wave move to eventually come in the market, which essentially is something along these lines that wave 1 is really us just trying to get back to these retracement levels. 2 is kind of pulling back from it. Then wave 3 is really firing out and having the big one. And then wave 4 is kind of the drawback. And then 5 is the end. Right. And so this kind of has confluence with the idea of us just kind of being in the first wave in here of what we're talking about over here with gold, that this is probably just kind of the first wave of gold making a move back down to these lows. And to kind of reflect on it, that's really how things really went over here as well. So I come with optimism to be like, man, this is really exciting. I think we're going to get out. I think there's still going to be corrections along the way, and I don't think we're even out yet. I don't even think things have gotten crazy, but that we're still just kind of bucking against the high here, and this could just take a little bit of time. I'm really not certain on time, but I think we're just going to have to spend a little time in here doing this before we can get going, but it'll be that breakout from here that I think is going to actually be that big moment that creates this dynamic to happen there in the dominance and then the eruption throughout the market. Oh, and it looks like we just missed it over here. That XRP even just hit 90 cents. But one more thing, and then we'll come back to XRP. One of the big things you look for in a market to say if there's actually sustainability to what's happening in here is that, we've seen rallies happen all the time. There can be rallies even in an actual bear. But one thing we've talked about a lot is breadth in the market, right? And I showed you guys like a breadth indicator a couple of months ago that I'd created to try to show when there's a broadening out happening in the market and to try to create something that doesn't give any false signals during an actual bear. And this was the breadth indicator that I had built where it just works as an on-off switch. And if you're in a bear, it never even flickers on to show a sign of life. And if it starts to flicker on, it is tended to mark that bottoms are in. We can see that even when the 2021 bull run started to kick off, it just kind of started over here in November, right? Bitcoin breaks out into the all-time high in December. But here in November, it just starts to kind of flicker on and come to life, flickers on a little bit more, and then full blown, we're in the absolute alt season, crazy stuff by January all the way here until when? May, when things come to a conclusion in here, right? Then you have the secondary rally that takes place there from August up until November, and then boom, lights out. We are just in a bear. No rally ever ends up triggering breadth to open back up. It is just bear city. It doesn't ever turn itself back on until we get here until January of 2023. And by the time that happens, it signals bottoms in, bear market is over, and that from there on out, up and away we go. We even have our breadth turned off from those who were here, because I know not everybody was, but those were here during our cruel summer, anticipating that it would be like an ABC correction, go into cruel summer, Even the breadth showed us that that's what was going on. And then, of course, it kicks off open again here in October and goes into the craziness. But notice that as we go through all of this here from April all the way until September, it's just bare. There's no breadth in the market. I'm creating newsletters. I'm creating YouTube videos. Where's the breadth? There's no breadth. Russell won't break out. We've got no breadth. Then in September, suddenly we get a flicker of life happen in here. That breadth is waking up. We made a big fuss about it. We made a big noise about it with breadth opening up in the market. And well, guess where we're at right now? We're full-blown rampaging of an opening of breadth and a broadening of this market right now. These triggers do not happen in bear markets. And so I come with still more hope and optimism that eventually we're going to make our way out of here. Just may take a minute for this thing to play itself out and get going, and whether or not there's going to be some type of still corrective phase off this initial fall that has happened here for gold. Typically you don't typically go straight down there. Typically there's some waves that happen in here, and even kind of going back and reviewing the bull run of 2021 to see how it played out over in here. Right. A lot of chop to get down there, 5 waves to get down. And that's really the whole bull run happening there for Bitcoin in the crypto market during that time. And so it looks like we've got that going on, right? I mean, gold breaks down and Bitcoin breaks out at the same time. It looks fantastic. It's just probably a process of 5 waves, similarly to like what we're talking about in here. But if you're kind of questioning, long-term sustainability, these are really positive signs. These are not things that happen over here when you're in bears, and it's full-fledged going. And I think that's clearly obvious by the fact that XRP is 91 cents right now. So this is great, but I don't think this is actually still the real breakout. I think this is a big repricing happening in here, but I don't think this is the actual breakout yet. And since it doesn't seem like it's the actual breakout, don't be surprised if things slow down for a minute pretty soon. We'd, of course, look at that a little bit differently if for some reason like this break started to happen in here, but it just hasn't even started yet. Certainly fantastic to see throughout the market. Wonderful to see. But it's crazy to think that this probably still isn't even the real move. There's likely still bumps to work out throughout here, but should we get through all of the retracement levels, then that would change very quickly, and we would be like, all right, it seems like we're on our way. Well, that's kind of what I wanted to show you guys. I want to show you that the breadth is wide open. The market's back at this top. The total market cap is back at this top. It seems like things are kind of rotating around in the market right now that Bitcoin has cooled off. We haven't done things that would make you think we're in the full-blown expansion happening just yet. This is kind of just repricing, right? If things were getting like this, we'd start kind of screaming on this channel, all right, man, I don't know about this anymore. You guys know I'll do that. I did that back in February and March of this year. It's very difficult to go against the herd when the herd is very euphoric. The crowd is probably very excited right now, but I just don't see the reason to be like that without this happening yet. And when we do have things like the Russell above the 786 retracement and things like our breadth just wide open. And I know you guys know that was just a topic for the longest time in the world. Where is the breadth? Where is the breadth? There is none. We have it now, so it's great. We'll conclude this with talking about XRP. I put out a video this week talking about XRP and that I thought we would clear through that 70 cent level. Obviously, we have. We've also taken out the 618, 702, and 786 Fibonacci retracement level. However, of course, we have our range bound reset over here. I do think eventually we'll get out of here. As weird as it is, I just always had this weird number of 91 cents being in my head. Maybe it means nothing. I was even in a Twitter space this week and said 91 cents for some reason. But just know, it's common to backtest supports and treat 70 cents as the breakout level backtest to then move on up, right? We're getting real nitpicky here if we start just kind of picking different time frames and little backtests that are going to happen. There's going to certainly be people who are just like, do you still think that backtest is going to come? I have no confidence that that has to happen. XRP, when it's taking off, it can just go. However, if there is to be a backtest, that's the level I'd be looking at for there to be a support build at approximately 70 cents. But I've lived in moments like this before where the price just gets out like this and just totally clears it and is gone. And that was back here in 2017 where price got stuck underneath this level for so long. And eventually, once it got through, there was no backtesting. It just kept on going. And I think a lot of that's going to be dictated by how long it takes for total to get out. I don't think that XRP is going to go flying off into some major major crazy bull run without total being able to go at the same time. In the end, I'm not day trading these small figures in here. I'm looking for all-time highs, so there's nothing for me to do here or care about with price action happening right now. But if there's a reason to be excited, there certainly is. Finally, we end up having these types of prices in here. And if the price ends up closing here today, this will be the highest daily candle close we've had in going on almost 3 years. So a lot to be happy about. But of course, this still is just not a price that most people should care about, right? But I've seen these types of breakouts before and how they can get going and surging. And well, hopefully that's what's going on. So throughout the weekend, there's probably going to be some more washing machining around in here, just money kind of sloshing around and rotating between stuff. In the end, the big thing we're kind of waiting for is to see how big of a pullback it's got to do in here before we actually get a real expansion to come here in total. But with how exciting things have been in the market, it certainly feels like it's a time to go fishing. And that may just be what I do today. So I hope that you guys have a great weekend. Of course, it's been very exciting in the crypto market for the last 2 weeks. Like I mentioned, I published a newsletter this morning. You guys can check that out over there at blockchainbacker.substack.com. There's a link in the description of this video to the newsletter. Talk all about the improved conditions in the market, what sectors have been hot, the coins that have been performing better, current developer and TVL leaders, and looking ahead. I do audio record all of these. This one comes with a 33-minute audio recording where I read the newsletter to you and go over the charts. So check that out throughout the weekend. Otherwise, I hope that you have a wonderful day. I want to thank you so much for watching. If you could, please like this video and give it a thumbs up. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe and hit the notification bell so you can be notified of when I create new content and when I go live. As always, this is not investment advice and I am not a financial advisor, but if you ever need a pick-me-up or a little bit of reassurance, just remember that the blockchain backers got your back. Have a good one.